PR.2, Graphing Linear Equations in Two Variables. Southwestern College, Professor Maria Olivas. PR.2, Graphing Linear Equations in Two Variables. This section is a prerequisite topic for systems and matrices. Objectives: graphing lines using point plotting, graphing lines using slope-intercept form. Part 1. Graphing lines using point plotting. To graph any equation, linear or otherwise, we can always try making a table of values and plotting points. Example 1. Graph each of the following by making a table that contains at least 3 points. A. 3x minus 4y equals 12. So I've made a table of values here. It has 3 columns. Across the top, in the first spot for the first column, we have x, then we have y, then we have the ordered pair x comma y. I've chosen values. I chose 0 for x, I chose a 0 for y, and I also chose a 1 for x. On the right-hand side, we have a coordinate plane. The coordinate plane has the x-axis on the coordinate plane goes from -7 to +7 by scale of 1, and the y-axis goes from -7 to +7 by a scale of 1. We're going to start off by substituting x equal to 0 into our equation. So we're going to get 3 times 0 minus 4y equals 12. And then our next line will be 0 minus 4y equals 12, which is equal to -4y equals 12. We can divide both sides by -4. The -4's will divide out on the left-hand side of the equal sign, and we will be left with y equals -3. Next, we're going to substitute 0 for y. So that's going to give us, the next line will be 3x minus 0 equals 12. Then we'll have 3x equals 12. We can divide both sides by 3. The 3's will divide out on the left-hand side, and we will be left with x equals 4. I'm going to go ahead and fill the table in now. I'm going to fill in a 4 under the x column, next to the y equals 0, and next to that on the third column, I'll put the ordered pair 4 comma 0, and where x is equal to 0, under the y column, I'm going to write in a -3, and next to that, for the ordered pair, I'm going to write 0 comma -3. Our last value to substitute is x equal to 1. So now we're going to have 3 times 1 minus 4y equals 12. Our next line is 3 minus 4y equals 12. I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. This is going to give me -4y equals 9. I'm going to divide both sides by -4, so the -4's will divide out on the left-hand side, and we will be left with y equals -9/4, which can be written as a mixed number as -2 1/4, or you could also write this as a decimal as -2.25. I'm going to go and fill in the table. Next to where it says x equals 1, under the y column, I'm going to write -9/4. And next to that, for the ordered pair, I'm going to write 1 comma -2 1/4. It will be easier for me to graph and plot the point with a mixed number rather than with an improper fraction. I've gone ahead on the y-axis. I have labeled in tick marks. So I've gone from 0 to -4, but I've only labeled in the tick marks for -1, -2, -3. On the x-axis, I've gone in from 0 to 5, and I've labeled in the tick marks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have gone ahead and plotted the points. I plotted 0 comma -3, 4 comma 0, and then 1 comma -2 1/4. And I have drawn a line through the 3 points. I've extended my line to the ends of the coordinate plane. I have drawn arrows on the ends of that line, and I've labeled the line with the equation 3x minus 4y equals 12. I am circling the y-intercept point with a red circle, and I have an arrow pointing up at it, and I'm writing down the word y-intercept so that you're aware that 0 comma 3 3 represents our y-intercept. I've also drawn an arrow pointing towards the x-intercept, and I've written down the word x-intercept next to the arrow, and I'm also going to circle that point with a red circle. 2 points that are often easy to find are the x and y-intercepts. Definitions. The intercepts are the points, if any, where a graph crosses or touches a coordinate axis. A point at which the graph crosses or touches the x-axis is an x-intercept, and a point at which the graph crosses or touches the y-axis is a y-intercept. In order to find an x-intercept, you must substitute 0 for y and solve for x. And then you must write it as an ordered pair. To find the y-intercept, you must substitute 0 for x and solve for y. And then you must write that as an ordered pair. Two special kinds of lines are easy to recognize and thus quick to graph. The equation of a vertical line, this is going to be represented by the equation x equals a, where a represents a constant. The equation of a horizontal line is going to be represented by y equals b, where b represents a constant. Let's do some examples here, but before we do the examples, actually, let me go back. The slope of a vertical line is always going to be equal to undefined. So it will always have an undefined slope. The slope of a horizontal line is always going to be equal to 0. Example 2. Graph each equation. A, x equals 3. I'm going to draw 3 tick marks going out towards the x-axis. So from 0 to 3 by scale of 1. I'm going to draw a vertical line at x equal to 3. I'm going to label the top of the line. At the top of the line, I'm going to label it with x equal to 3. For b, we have y equals -5. I'm going to draw tick marks on the y-axis. So we have a coordinate plane here. And I'm going to go from 0 to -5 by a scale of 1. And I'm going to draw a horizontal line at y equal to -5. And I will label that line with the equation y equal to -5 on the left-hand side of the line. Part 2, graphing lines, slope, intercept. The equation y equals mx plus b describes a line with slope m and y-intercept 0, b. To graph a line using the slope and the y-intercept, 1. Put the equation in the form y equals mx plus b. 2. Plot the y-intercept point, which is the ordered pair 0, b. 3. Find a second point by moving according to the slope, which is m equals rise over run. Example 3, graph each line using the slope and the y-intercept. First thing I'm going to do is rewrite this equation, which is written in standard form in slope-intercept form. Here we have 3x minus 2y equals -8. I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. I'll be left with -2y equals -3x minus 8. I'm going to divide both sides by -2. On the left-hand side, the -2's divide out, and we're left with y equals -3 over -2x minus 8 divided by -2. This is going to give me y equals 3/2 x plus 4. My y-intercept in this equation is going to be the ordered pair 0, 4. My slope is going to be, I'm going to go ahead and write down slope-intercept form right underneath the equation, y equals mx plus b, and I've circled the 4 and I've circled the b so you can see how they are lined up here. The slope is going to be equal to 3 over 2, so that means since it's a +3 over a +2, that's going to represent the 3. The 3 is going to represent a rise. I'm going to write a little positive sign next to the 3, and I'm also going to write a little positive sign next to the 2. And I've drawn an arrow next to the 2 representing this as the run to the right. If it's a +2, we run to the right. I'm going to write a positive x on the end of the x-axis on the right hand side of the x-axis and a positive y on the above the y-axis. Now I'm going to go ahead and rewrite the slope. This time I'm going to rewrite it as -3 over -2. I've drawn an arrow pointing toward the -3, and I've written the word drop, and I've drawn an arrow pointing to the -2, and I've written the words run to the left. So now I've gone ahead and labeled on the coordinate plane, on the left hand side of the x-axis I wrote a -x, and on the bottom of the y-axis I wrote -y. I'm going to go ahead and draw tick marks on the y-axis from 0 to 4 by a scale of 1. I've drawn a point right on 0, -4, and I've labeled that point with its corresponding ordered pair. Now I'm going to go ahead and use the slope. I'm going to use both versions of the slope that I wrote. I'm going to go up 3 and over 2 to the right to come up with my next point. And I've drawn tick marks on the x-axis from 0 to 2 by a scale of 1. And I've continued drawing more tick marks on the y-axis up to 7 by scale of 1. I've labeled the ordered pair with 2, 7. Now to come up with another point, from my y-intercept, I'm going to go down 3, which represents my drop, and I'm going to run 2 units to the left. That's going to land me at the point -2, 1, and I've gone ahead and drawn tick marks on the x-axis going out from 0 to -2 by a scale of 1. I have connected my 3 points with a line, and I've extended that line to the ends of the graph. I've drawn arrows on the ends of the line, and I'm going to label the line with the equation y equals 3/2 x plus 4. You could have used either equation, the one that was in standard form or the one in slope-intercept form, because they are equivalent equations.